Hey everyone. So the other day I was watching My Neighbor Totoro and saw this scene, and like any normal human being, decided that I had to turn it into 3D. So here we go. First, delete everything in a scene with X and Shift A to create some reference images. Here are the ones that I use since there are surprisingly few detailed scenes of the blue Totoro in the movie. Turn on opacity and adjust the value to make them see-through. Now Shift A to create a cube, and then add the mirror modifier, which I forgot to do in the actual clip. Make sure to change the axis of reflection across Y. This way, the mesh will be symmetrical when changing one side in the edit mode. And we're back. Now add the subdivision modifier to it with Control 1. Increase the subdivision and apply the modifier. Now tab into edit mode, and we'll be turning this into a Totoro shape. You might want to change to wireframe mode and turn on proportional editing for this part. You can change the radius of this by scrolling up or down. Some common keys I used are S to scale, G to move, and R to rotate. There's also E to extrude out a part. To control the direction these controls will happen on, type in the axis or angle. For example, GX to move on the X-axis or R45 to rotate 45 degrees. Double-clicking the axis will move the object along the axis before rotation. You can also change from points to edge to surface at the top. Now onto the tail. Same as the body, Shift A to create a cube. Apply the subdivision modifier as well and tab into edit mode to pull it into shape. Now just repeat the same thing for the arms, ears, and legs. Remember for these, add the mirror modifier so they appear on both sides of the body. Also change the axis to Y and set the mirror object to the main body. I realized that it might be helpful to break the arm down into two sections where I tabbed into edit mode and scaled the arm down on the Z axis. Then on Shift D to duplicate this section and move it into place. And of course, we can't forget the claws. For them, Shift A to create cylinders, scale to down with S, and move it into place. Tab into edit mode, scale down the tip, and scale it up a little on the Z axis. To select the entire part, hover over it and press L, then Shift D to duplicate the other claws. If you created the claws in the object mode like me, you can join them to the limbs by selecting the claw, then Shift, select the limb, and press Ctrl J. Change the viewport at the top and Shift A to create a sun, and rotate it to roughly match the image. Go to Render Properties and increase the cube and cascade size under Shadows to get a more defined shadow. Change the timeline to Shader Editor and press New to create a material. Now Shift A to add a shader to RBG and Color Ramp. Change the color ramp to constant. Turn off the opacity on the image and then take a sample of the color on the image. You can move the little knob to control the amount of shadow. By the way, you can also control the strength of the sunlight. Now, add this material to other parts of the body. I also tried combining all the parts into one mesh, but that only led to a weird effect with the grease pencil later. So keep yours separated for now. For adding material onto other parts of the object, create a new material for that part by clicking the copy sign to duplicate it. Tab into Edit Mode. I also hid the mesh to take a sample of the color of the claw. Select the part you want to add color by hovering over it and pressing L. Now go to Materials, add another material for this object, and select the material just made to be assigned. Now it's time to make the belly. Go into Edit Mode and select the knife tool. You can also do this by pressing K. I also changed to wireframe mode to see the image. Press Enter to stop the operation. It took me several tries and some adjusting to get it to look right. After that, change the viewport to see the color. Now select everything within the section you traced, and go to Materials. Again, add a new material by copying the ones already made and changing the color to white. It took me some adjusting to get a nice shape. But that's pretty much it to material. Now let's move on to grease pencil. Shift A to create a blank grease pencil and move all the mesh into one collection. Go to the modifier, add line art, and select the collection containing the mesh, the grease pencil outline, and the black materials. These are made by default. Shift A to create a camera to see the grease pencil and move it into place with Ctrl-Alt numpad 0. The outlines will only look right through the camera view with numpad 0. You can also play around with the radius and control where the outline will appear. I later played around with this setting, and here's the final result setting that should be set to. Make sure to show the outline for different materials and set contour to individual silhouette. By the way, if you can't see the grease pencil outline for the arms, you can select the arms and move them out a little. Now, with the materials and grease pencil added, we can also add the eye. Shift A to create a circle, move the circle to roughly where the eyes should be and check in front to see it through the mesh. Adjust the eye position some more so that it looks similar to the image on the side and front view. Make sure the eye is as close to the surface as possible without the image looking weird. Now, let's carve out a section so the eyes actually become visible. You can uncheck in front and press F to fill the circle in edit mode. Now back to the body, grab a part and start pulling inward to reveal the eyes. Going into sculpt mode to use the scraping tool will also do the trick. You can control the radius and strength of the brush at the top. Now let's add the mirror modifier. Select the body as the mirror object and change the axis to Y. You might have noticed a shadowy part on the left eye. To remove that, we can create a point light and place it near the eye. For the eyes, add a new material. Then change the color to white. And then select the circle in the edit mode, press E to extrude, then S to scale it down. And move it to place with G. Select the surface and add a black material to it. And assign that color. Note that if you can't see the color, It might be because it's hidden behind. While doing this, I also realized that I forgot to do the nose, so I'm going to do it right now. I move the mesh around a little in edit mode to get into a nice shape. Select the surfaces and create a new brownish material to be assigned to the nose. Now for the little fluffs on the chest. Remember to apply the mirror modifier for the body before this part. Go into edit mode with the body selected and select a point on the chest, and with G, pull it out. To make larger chunks, select a surface and extrude it out and reshape it into something fur-like. Now onto the patterns on the belly. While you can do this with the knife tool and apply the material, I'll use a grease pencil just to show you how to do it. Go into draw mode with the grease pencil selected. Create a new layer for the pattern so you can easily lock the ones you don't want to touch. Also uncheck use light for this layer, go to materials, and add a new material. Turn on fill to change the color to blue. Go to Tools, under Stroke, turn on Stabilize Stroke and start drawing. Change the top to surface and set the offset to 0.01 to draw on the body. If you don't like their position or size, you can always tab into edit mode to move them around like normal mesh. Now I'm also adding more furs on the edge of the material. Create a new material with the fill color set to white and start drawing. For the chest furs, I used the blue material and created more fluffs. Alright, that's pretty much it for this tutorial. In the next one, I'll be giving this little guy some movement and have him running around like in the movie. See you in a little bit.